Now, the announcement, the logo, does it feel real?
It felt pretty real before, but I think this was an amazing evening. I mean, it feels like wow. It's a lot of energy, so much enthusiasm. I'm excited about the brand, but I'm more excited to be here in Nashville doing it.
Yeah, the soccer fans are they've been through a lot. Rain, snow, doesn't matter. I mean, to see 1,500 people show up here on just a miserable day, weather-wise, says a lot about what you guys are doing, doesn't it?
It's like SEC football. You know, they say that, you know, I always grew up hearing that SEC football, they say it's like religion, but only more important. And I think that's kind of how people feel about the true soccer fan, the great supporters about their clubs. I mean, they feel like they own it. And that's when I said, you know, talk about being a curator. You know, my job is to produce something great that they can be excited about and support, and me and my team, and that's what we're going to try to do.
How happy are you with the new logo and the colors that they all go really well together?
I love it. I love it. I think it's, you know, it turned out, you know, you go into a process and you're not quite sure what's going to happen, and you know, you go through words, you go through emotions, and you try to come up with what you want. I mean, for me, kind of almost went back to my childhood and watching cartoons on Saturday morning. Aquaman used to send telepathy out of, and the whole sense of sound, and we kind of took that and you know, and didn't want to just do the normal Nashville guitars, nothing wrong with guitars, but you know, wanted to have something that connoted sound and energy and the vibe here in Nashville, and you know, do your best, and I'm pleased with it.
How much did you explore other names, and what ultimately brought you back to the existing Nashville SC?
You know, David, I grew to see the kind of the bonding that the core supporters already had with the general colors and the name, and that was more important to me than you know, any other name or colors that I could come up with. You know, I thought it was more important to continue the momentum and enthusiasm. These are the same people that showed up at the Metro Council and sat on those awful hard wooden benches for hours and were supportive of us, and you know, I mean, we're all in this together. This isn't just about me. I mean, it's about all of us, and hope they view it as a bit of a tip of the cap and say, we heard you, we listened, we want to be a good partner.
The
What
commissioner
happens
said,
with the USL franchise now? Are you going to keep that as a developmental team, or
You know, it's something that we'll sort out over this coming year. You know, one of the things about having progressed as fast as we have is, you know, there are certain questions that you don't always have the answers for in advance, but we'll figure that out this year.
the commissioner said the support with the other pro teams in town invaluable. Did you feel that too?
Absolutely, and I, you know, very much want to be appreciative of Steve Underwood with you know, the Titans. He and their organization have really helped us, because we'd have been in a heap of trouble if we hadn't, you know, because our stadium won't be ready before 2021, and the Titans were really good to work with to help us with that. And I would say the same things with the Predators. I mean, they have been terrific as well. I mean, you know, and I would tell you even from the beginning that the first lunch that the commissioner came to, we had both the CEOs of the Predators and of the Titans, and you just don't see that in other cities.
Were any other colors or names, like, were they brought up as a suggestion?
Tons, but you know, it's kind of doesn't really matter. You know, it's like dating other people. Once you're married, you know, that doesn't really matter anymore.
Did you feel like it was married even before kind of this rebranding process came about, that it was already so ingrained in the fan base?
Well, I think I mean, I thought of other things, and you know, but at the end of the day, it was more important to me to continue on what we started here, and I thought that was better for the team and for the city and for our fans, and so, you know, that's what I'm about. You know, I mean, I got plenty of other areas to have bright ideas. You know.
how important is you mentioned a traditional soccer name in terms of what's going on in MLS and whatnot, how important is it to stick with this type of name as opposed to a more Americanized thing?
It's important for Nashville. I think Nashville, from what I've seen, look, I'm new to Nashville, but talking to our supporters and talk to our owner, Nashville's not celebrity, it's authentic and it's cool and traditional, and that's what the name is. That's what our supporters want to keep, was a name that's kind of typical of a soccer club, more traditional sport, and so it was important to us to do that. We didn't feel and we didn't hear from our supporters that they wanted anything different.
How important too that there is that identification with a name and the colors and everything already in place as you go through the next year now?
Very much so, and that's been a challenge actually in the last few months, is not having an identity. It's kind of held us back in some areas where we wanted to talk about ourselves or promote ourselves, but now we are Nashville Soccer Club. We are on our way to MLS. We are playing in USL. We're one club, one team, one organisation, and that gives us a lot of tools to be able to work with. We have a big job over 2019 to bring everybody in Nashville together with us to MLS, and having those brands and marks and identities is important for that.
With a big reveal like this, are there nerves that it's not going to go over well in front of the audience?
No. I think. Look, you can never please everybody. That's always the case in these things. But I think that because we had good consultation with the people that matter most, which are the supporters, I think that worked well for us. The other thing, and I said in my speech there, was the identity identifies us, but it's the values that will define us, and I think that's important. It's easy to talk about these things, but over the next year and the years thereafter, it's important that we build and operate in the way that we described, and that's about being all those values that we created.
There's a lot of check marks on the road to the opening day. This is one of them. How big of a day is this for the franchise?
I think it's a very big day for the franchise. I think that you can. It's almost like planting the flag in the ground, and we move forward from here. There will be a lot of other big days, even in this year and beyond. Signing our first players, announcing our coach, launching our first jersey in MLS. All those, getting the stadium underway, all those different things, and they all have their place in the kind of journey that we go on. But today is a massive day, and we've planted that flag now, and we need to carry it forward.
We saw what Cincinnati did last year. You've added some high caliber players for the USL season. Important to be one of the best teams in USL this season, do you think?
I think we always want to put the best team we can put on the field in any competition. I think what we tried to do, and I spoke to John some months back, and suggested that we bring forward some revenue or some cost to be able to do what we did and bring some players to USL this year to add to the squad. And there's two reasons for that. One is it gives us continuity. It allows us to bring players in early. We have to build a roster of 30 players for 2020. So the more you can do on that in advance, the better. And secondly, with some of the players we signed, the younger players like Daniel and Cameron, we're really looking and saying, okay, well, we now have an opportunity for the team to work with them in this year, and we'll continue to do that. We get to have another look at that in the summer window, and it's all about starting to populate that roster. But we mustn't forget we have a whole season of USL. And if we can win games in USL and we can do well in USL, that's got to help us as well. So I would say there's a kind of mixed agenda really when we do.
Should those guys feel like they're auditioning for MLS when they're playing for Nashville SC this year?
Our general manager Mike Jacobs put it best in an interview a while ago. He said everybody who plays for our USL team should feel like they're in kind of American Idol for soccer, because they all have a chance, right? We're not going to turn somebody away if they really perform, and that's not just about the guys who have MLS contracts. It's about anyone who plays for this team. If they can show the technical staff that they've got enough, then the opportunity is there for them. So we're not treating anyone any differently. Certain players aren't being treated differently because they have MLS contracts already. We're giving everybody the same opportunity, and we'd love to take as many of them as possible with us.
Do you have any players in mind for the new MLS team? I know we know that you already have Daniel Rios, but do you have any other ones in mind?
We have players in mind. We have a strategy for players. I'm not going to tell you any of them are, but also this period is really about
Mike and the technical team studying those players that we might identify, studying those positions that we need to fill, and looking at different people across this year, scouting and analysis. So it's really a kind of process of elimination almost. You make a very long list of players in every position, and then you kind of working through, okay, we don't maybe want that person, or that person suddenly doesn't become available because they make a long-term commitment elsewhere. So there's a lot of work. It was the area where I made the first sort of moves on, because it takes the longest, and it ultimately probably is the most important. That we can do great things with our brand, and we can do great things with a stadium, but if we don't put a good team on the pitch that competes, then we're getting that wrong. So it was important to start with that. It's the hardest to get right, but it's the first one we had to start with.
Do you have a philosophy with fielding what will be a new team, on how many veterans you want versus younger players?
That forms part of it. I think you have to have that balance. You have to have a balance of experience, youth, and if you like, dynamics. And that'll come down to the coach and the technical staff to decide that. I always say I'm not picking any players. I'm just there to make sure that we're doing it in the right way and doing the right thing. But we have some great people in that team, in that area right now, and I feel very confident they'll do a great job for Nashville.
You added a couple more technical staff a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Were you involved in the hiring of Ali and Chance, or was that mostly Mike's kind of?
I was involved in it. I think I worked very closely with Mike on it, and again, it all forms part of that balance and that look forward that we have to do. So in the case of Chance, we bring a guy who's not that long finished playing in the league, has really deep relationships with players throughout most of the teams, and that bodes as well. If we're starting to look at a player in another team and we want to understand how that, to be able to pick the phone up, speak to people in that locker room that player's playing for, get a sense of, we can see who he is on the pitch, who is he off the pitch, how is he in the locker room, how does he fit into the group that we might assemble. And then in Ali's case, Ali comes from what I think is the biggest soccer agency in the world now, Stella. I know those guys really well from back in Europe, and everybody spoke highly of Ali, and I think he, again, when you're in that world, that murky world of player transfers and agents, what better to have than have an agent inside the tent, and he's a great guy, very smart, and done some great deals in the past himself. So I think it shows that we're assembling the right type of people, and both were a good fit for Mike. And it's always about getting harmony in teams when you build them, whether it's the players, technical staff, or the front office staff. I'm big on hiring people because of who they are, not just what qualifications they might have.
Are there certain truths to building any successful soccer club throughout the world, or are you having to adjust to sort of an American sporting culture and do some things a little differently here?
I think the difference here is that you're working with a different set of tools because of different rules around salary or other things. The game is different. People. One of the big reasons that I wanted to choose a general manager who knew this market was that this certainly isn't my strength, right? So I'm new to this market. I have a lot of experience in soccer, but with Mike alongside me, I have a guy who's been almost at every different level in the game here, from the collegiate through to USL through to to MLS. So it gives us that balance. Between us, we can span the different markets and the different types. But I think it's largely the same. But there are definitely nuances, and I think an awful lot of people in the past have got that wrong by thinking that you can just transplant somebody into the market. I think there was John shared with me that there were certain views that people thought, not John, I mean other people thought that I might just bring a whole bunch of English people over from Europe to build Nashville. I really don't see it like that. I think there's great talent in this country. We just have to assemble the right team and put it together in the right way.
Thank you guys. Thank you.